Welcome to Buckets, coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by NBA futures analyst Brandon Anderson. We're going to preview the second round of the Eastern Conference Semifinals. We will get you best bets, series bets, prop looks, our thoughts and takes on the series, everything that we talk about will be given out and tracked in our award-winning Action Network app where you can follow us and see our bets. You can also track your own bets. You can track your stuff over time. There's a whole thing in your bet history. You can set up like an analysis of what bets hit. Like, how are you doing on sides? How are you doing on totals? How are you doing on this? How are you doing on this thing? And then you can export it. And if you do that, then you can look and see exactly which teams are going to piss you off the most from having failed you so often. We will get to all those things today. Make sure to give us a 5-star review if you're listening on podcast. Tell a friend. Be like, hey, buddy that likes betting, I listen to this podcast called Buckets. Mention us. Spread the word. Also, check us out at youtube.com/the Action Network. We have live shows coming Saturday morning previewing Sunday's games. We don't know how many there will be at this point. And we'll have one on Sunday night at 10:30 Eastern, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, previewing Monday's games and doing futures talk with the Jays. So you get Jim Turvey and Joe Delare's thoughts there as well. Joe was not on with me this week because he completely forgot that he had a live show because Joe's a slacker. So we will have Joe back on Sunday. Today we will talk about the Eastern Conference Semifinals matchup between the Indiana Pacers and Cleveland Cavaliers. Later on, we'll get to what I think is just an infuriating series price on the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. We will start with Cavaliers and Pacers as it is the far more interesting series, Brandon. Let's begin with our 10 words, the 10-word series outlooks for Cavaliers Pacers. What do you got?
My 10 words. Very similar teams, but are Cavs just better at everything?
Mine is 5 words. The Cavs are comfortable here. That's mine. So we're in a similar place on this. Series market on this one, not surprisingly, going to be very tilted towards Cleveland, given their destruction of the Heat in the first round, as well as their dominance in the regular season. At FanDuel, the Cavaliers are minus 550, Pacers plus 410. At BetMGM, Cavs minus 500, Pacers plus 375. In this market, I make the Cavaliers minus 425. One of the things about that I will keep returning to as we talk about the series and how to bet it, Brandon, is unfortunately for me, I and the market are simpatico. We are locked in. This entire series is perfectly priced to me, which makes it very difficult based off of power rating to find value. There are edges and thoughts here to kind of get into it. We'll talk about a number of things with the details of the offense and the defense. I am very surprised because you had hinted when we were doing our more general, like big picture stuff, that you were going to lean towards Indiana as an upset pick here. And I know that when we started doing the data and the deep dive work on it, you're kind of like, oh, that isn't what I thought I looked like. So, um, tell me what your best bet for Cavs Pacers is.
Yeah, I'm with you. Both of these series today are fun to talk about, one more than the other, but I don't see a huge edge in the market on either one of these. But, we're going to talk about them and find some best bets. I'm always going to find an angle. For this one, I'm going to do something I did on, I think, 3 of the 8 series in the first round. I'm just going to split my bet on the Cavs. Cavs in 5, Cavs in 6. Cavs in 5 is plus 285, and 6 is plus 450. So just split it right in half on each side of that. My favorite bet and my favorite way to bet the series, I got a whole bunch of series leader stuff. So I really like actually props here. And my favorite is Haliburton assist leader minus 250. I'm going to be taking some minus juice bets on the pod today, unlike usual, because I just think that they are very, as much as you can get a free money sort of bet, as you'll hear from me. And I like Haliburton steals 8-1 and Mobley rebounds leader plus 155. So I'd rather play the series leader stuff and probably game to game on Cavs Pacers, but Cavs in 5 or 6 is the main series bet.
All right, mine's going to be Cleveland Cavaliers in 5 games exact, 4-1 series outcome plus 285. I make that number 247. So I'm getting a good price there. It is lower at some shops. This is a one that I think is probably going to take Like there's going to be so much money, I think, bet on the Cavaliers in the series by the time that we get to tip off that I do think it's likely that this one actually winds up going down. Cavs 4-1, 240 at FanDuel. So DK is the one that I've got the best price at, and I can get that one plus 285 for Cavs to win in 5 games exact. That's my best price. That'll be my best bet on this series. I might dabble, depending on where the numbers go, on sweep based off of game one.
Mm.
I might go that direction. As a hint, I like Cavaliers quite a bit in this series. I was unable to find the matchup stuff when we started to get into the series to lean in the favor of the Pacers. So I'll kind of go first here with when the Cavaliers are on offense. The Pacers defense is kind of the sneaky good part of the series where it's like everyone knows the Cavs offense is great. Everyone kind of thinks the Cavs defense is elite, but it's actually been just okay. But it is the key is that with the starters, it's excellent. Um, the Pacers offense obviously gets a lot of attention. Pacers defense is kind of sneaky underrated still. I'm gonna like this as an under series. I'm gonna be on the under for game one because of the kind of perception of who these teams are. Pacers aren't quite as fast as they were as last year, and they're not as high powered. The Cavaliers have a substantially better half court offense and a substantially better half court defense than the Pacers, which means that you're probably going to see a little bit of. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers are like we gotta play our game, we gotta go fast in order to get ahead of them setting up their defense. I just don't think they'll have much success in that because the Cavs transition defense has been one of the better units. Um, this is not necessarily an offensive tactical thing, but this is a big takeaway for me in the series, Brandon. So one of the things that I look at when I go back and I look at the season series, what can get lost is who won that game for which team, right? So the Pacers went 3-1 versus the Cavaliers. Two matchups were in April. The Cavs didn't play anybody. The Pacers won. There's not a lot you can take from the season series. There's very little. Danny Cunningham of Locked On Cavaliers was like, you should throw out all those games for various reasons. I do think the first quarter and third quarter of both of those games are relevant because that's who we're going to see on the floor the most. And guess what? The Cavaliers annihilated them for losing the season series 3-1. When the Cavaliers played their starters, they destroyed them. Their net rating was incredible. Their offensive rating was incredible because of their ability to force help and then create the kind of opportunities that they want. This is a Donovan Mitchell series. This is an Evan Mobley series. I'm not sure on Darius Garland and Jared Allen, but it's definitely going to be a Cavs spot up shooter series because the Pacers are going to have to bring help, and when they do, there's nobody in the league that's better, in my opinion, at punishing that help and kicking it weak side than the Cleveland Cavaliers this season. They're even better than Boston in those situations. So I think the Cavaliers are going to be able to generate a high level of offense based off of Mitchell's ability to get downhill versus some of their defenders. Nemhardt's very good, and Neesmith is very good. You can hide Haliburton on that DeAndre Hunter, Max Strus, Dean Wade. You can hide him on that shooter. They're going to find ways to run side guard screens to still get Haliburton involved in that action and get downhill. This is actually, I think, a harder series for Haliburton to hide than even a series like Boston. The Cavs are a little bit more purposeful in how they attack and what mechanisms they use to attack. I do have some concerns about Darius Garland on the defensive side, but offensively, as good as I think the Pacers defense is in the deeper minutes, like second quarter unders might be a play for me as the series goes along, depending on what I see from the rotations. I have a high level of confidence in the Cavaliers being able to put up typical numbers for them, not maybe a little bit lower than typical numbers for them offensively. That's my kind of Cavaliers offensive outlook.
Yeah, I think you're a little bit higher on the Cavs overall than me, but I think we're in relatively the same place. I'm going to throw out the season series even more than you're throwing it out. Those two games you mentioned, so the last two games were game 82 and I think game 80, all against backups. I'm throwing those out entirely. I'm mostly throwing out the first two games. Halliburton played 18 minutes in one and none in the other. So no Halliburton and no Halliburton at peak Halliburton doesn't really matter a lot to me. So I don't really care that the Cavs starters railed against the Pacers starters. Halliburton is the best player on the team, so that doesn't mean a lot for me. Offensively, I mean, really just up and down. I expected to like the Pacers in this series, and I don't. I am not totally out on the Pacers. Um, I don't mind. I think I saw a plus 410 on the series for them. I don't mind that. I think the Cavs win game one, so there's no reason to play that now. But if I see some things in game one that I like, I wouldn't be surprised if I come back and just nibble a little bit on a Pacers down 0-1 at what I think will be kind of an outlandish price, like a 10 to 1 or something longer, maybe. But every time I try to say, okay, well, what's Indiana good at? Here's an edge. Nope. The Cavs took away that edge or are better at that edge. That's the problem for me. Anytime I thought of something for Indiana, it felt like Cleveland did that, but better. Offense, Indiana, really good at offense. Seventh best in the league, maybe even better when Haliburton's healthy. Guess what? The Cavs are the number one offense. The Cavs are world beaters on offense. Cavs or Pacers defense, it's improving since January 1st, up from 23rd to 10th. So maybe they can limit the Cavs a little bit. Well, guess what? The Cavs defense, even disappointing this year, is still better than what the Pacers improved defense is. And quite frankly, I don't know that the Pacers quote improved defense checked out against the Bucks. I don't know that I saw that necessarily in what the numbers had presented. When the Cavs have the ball, I think they are going to win this series both directions on twos. I think they're going to score 2 pointers at will. The Pacers' 2 point defense has not improved that much, and the Cavs are number one in the league at 3 point percent, but also 2 point percent, 58% on twos, where the Pacers are bottom quarter in the league. I'm intrigued by what happens with Cavs threes. They're going to take a lot, and they lead the league in 3 point percentage, but the Pacers limit threes and limit 3 point percentage. So maybe that's an avenue where the Cavs didn't quite get up their usual number, or maybe they got them up but didn't quite hit. That was not the case against Miami. They got all the threes up and made all of them. Maybe that's the way Indiana could hang a little bit. I can see that. When the Pacers are on offense, it's the same problem. The Cavs defense, I think its weak spot is against threes. We'll get back to that next round when you play Boston. But the Pacers don't take a lot of threes. That's not their version. The Pacers want to win on twos. Well, guess who else wants you to win on twos? The Cavs. That's their defensive strength. That's Mobley and Allen. That's the size taking away some of that easy stuff. Indiana's offense is partly so good because they generate such easy looks for their players. Haliburton is so good because he makes everyone else look better. The Cavs are number three in 2 point percentage defense. The Pacers take the top five most twos and top five percentage. So the Cavs defense has taken away the thing the Pacers do best, and the Cavs offense is best at the thing that the Pacers are worst at allowing. And it's just hard to find a better answer than that, where the 2 pointers, I think, on both directions are going to be a clear advantage for the Cavs. So unless the Pacers really win out on 3 point variance either direction or both directions, maybe, it's hard to see a lot of great avenues for Indiana to win the series here.
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about the Pacers offense here, which I am curious. Can I ask why you're skeptical of the Cavs 3 point defense?
I'm not skeptical. It's just to me is they're weaker point comparatively. They allow more attempts typically, and
Huh.
their defensive strength to me is Mobley and Allen protecting the interior. And I did not like, as we know, I did not like the Evan Mobley Defensive Player of the Year. I do not think that because the Cavs defense was not elite, and I don't even know if they were great. They were pretty good. They were kind of like what the Heat defense was,
Yeah.
which we just saw what happened when a great offense played them. I think they're great at protecting the paint. That's their strength. That's Mobley and Allen. That's the thing they're good at. I think threes, okay, now we're down to Donovan. Now we're down to Garland. And that's a problem for me too, is against the right team, that should be the weak spot on Indiana's or on Cleveland's defense is you attack those guards. Okay, let's put where the rubber meets the road here. You and I have both been very high on Tyrese Haliburton in our Elite 100 and all of our Slacks and Twitter conversations. Tyrese Halliburton's got to be aggressive, and Tyrese Haliburton has to be able to hurt and punish that Cavs guard defense. And I don't know that he can, or I'm convinced that he will. So to me, I don't know that it's necessarily a weak spot. Maybe that's not it, but it's the weaker spot comparatively. If I have to attack the Cavs and beat them, that's where I want to do it.
Uh, just because I want to get us on the same page here, because like I've got clean the glass non-garbage time, eighth lowest 3 point rate allowed. Dunks and threes, eighth most 3 point rate allowed. They are 13th in three-point percentage, which isn't bad from that perspective.
Right.
And CTG's got them for percentage 16th. So it's like they allow a really low amount at like a moderate efficiency. That to me doesn't seem like it's like a stress point,
Again,
especially versus
definitely
Indy.
not bad. It's comparatively to like they are number two in 2 point percentage defense from the regular season, 52% allowed. So
Gotcha.
if you're that good at that and you're allowing a lot of twos, which is good, you want to allow a lot of the thing that you're good at stopping that's less efficient anyway. They're just at Basketball Reference, they were 13th in three pointers allowed, 13th in three pointers attempted, 13th in 3 point percentage defense. 13th is average. You're average at that. And I know there's pace and some things like that built in there. I don't think that they're bad at it. I just don't think it's their comparative strength to their
Sure.
2 point defense.
So let's talk about Haliburton for a minute here. A big key with Haliburton is going to be based off the coverage because you mentioned like, well, he didn't play and he played enough for me to get a sense of how what the defensive
Yeah,
coverage
that's
is going to
fair.
be on the Cavs. They're gonna blitz him. They're gonna blitz him every single time. And so the questions are going to be: are those mechanisms going to lead to assists? Are they going to lead to a potential assists? And that's honestly like it's a real coin flippy thing in those situations. Like I've tried to play those assist projections. I'm gonna have to see exactly what mechanisms they want to take away out of that. But I will tell you, like they're gonna play at the level, and they're not gonna like their number one objective is gonna be Tyrese Haliburton doesn't get the score. And he doesn't get to get downhill so that we have to bring help over and he does a whip around pass from under the basket to open corner shooters. They want to bottle him on the perimeter and force him away. So like Hallie's either going to have to burst around them and just be scoring by getting to the rim versus a weak side rim protector, not great, or there he's going to have to just be passing it. And like Hallie is very, I love Halliburton, and one of the things I love about him, like you and I are in lockstep on him, is like he's not going to force the issue. He's not going to be like I'm going to try and like drag this out. He's not going to try and ISO them. They won't switch on him. They're going to play him to the edge and try and pressure that ball out of his hands because they know that anybody else with the ball is a way better option for them. This is an Andrew Nemhard series. So one of the things that the Cavs do is they played Garland on Nemhard, and I think that they might hide Nemhard or Garland on Neesmith a little bit as the spot up shooter, depending on who's that other guy. If it's DeAndre Hunter, you're probably like, all right, let's have Hunter take Nemhard, and maybe Donovan takes Halliburton, and you play it that way. They got some options for what they want to do here. Nemhard, when he had Garland on him, they played drop coverage. So instead of Jared Allen at the level with Halliburton, no, 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 get the ball, get out. You don't get to have the ball. With Nemhard, they're like, you can take your mid-range pull up as much as you want. You get to have that shot. We will give that to you. And Garland is so small, he gets peeled by that screen and can't recover. So if you're the Cavaliers, this is what you want, is you want Andrew Nemhard to try and beat you because you're going to generate threes, they're going to generate twos. That's where their 2 point stuff comes in because Cleveland was had the sixth highest mid-range attempt rate for opponents this season. They gave up a ton of mid-range shots. Their Kenny Atkinson's scheme is very Morey ball focused. We want to prevent threes, ninth lowest 3 point rate. We definitely want to keep you away from the rim, even though they weren't as good at it. 12th, because they play so much at the level. If you can beat that coverage, you can get slips and back cuts and get to the rim a little bit more. So if Halliburton can beat it, which I'm skeptical of because of the
Yeah.
size and the how good the Cavs help defense is, but if he can do it, or if Miles Turner slash Pascal Siakam can be good enough as the short roll guy to make those extra plays, if they get Jarris Walker involved, if he plays a huge part in the series, they can generate those. When they do get the ball out, when I noticed on those sequences, and I haven't done the actual count of these, when they do get the ball out, when they play at level and blitz Hallie, we're right back to the Buck series. Guess who benefited the most from that in terms of wide open attempts? Miles Turner. This is another series where Miles Turner over on points, over on threes is probably going to be a play for me. I'm definitely going to be on Turner in game one. They switched some actions. If it was Nemhard and Turner, this is what was kind of interesting. If it's Nemhard and Turner, they switched it. If it's Halliburton and Turner, they blitzed. So with Turner, or with Nemhard, they'll play drop with Garland, but if it was somebody else, they would actually switch it with Turner and let Turner post up. Turner could score in those situations. So he'll be able to get underneath the basket. Now they'll bring help there because the Cavs defense is very disciplined. But I do think that just from a usage standpoint and wide open threes, I think Turner overs is going to be an area where they're going to be able to score here. The majority, if you look at like, well, wait, Matt. So the Cavs starters killed them in all these games. How did the Pacers take 3 of 4, and why were these games competitive? The bench was hugely
Yeah.
productive. This was the Pacers bench wasn't nearly as good as last year of the season, but they were great versus Cleveland. I don't know what that looks like when you get into a playoff rotation and you're playing more starters, more minutes. So that's going to be like an interesting question for me to kind of feel out as the series goes along. But those are kind of my thoughts on Indiana's offense versus the Cavs defense.
Yeah, the bench thing stuck out to me as well. To me, that one of the very few things I did take away from the season series was, wow, Indiana's bench. They really showed up and did some stuff. That's why Indiana won those games. I think that that could lead this to be a very important home court series because we know with guys like Ty Jerome, TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin, especially some of those Pacers bench guys we saw in last year's playoffs, way better at home. That's what happens. Your role players are who's way better at home. So I want to be careful. Like again, I could see the Cavs comfortably going up 2-0, but the series not necessarily being over. I want to see what Indiana looks like at home, where they might swing that bench advantage back. I don't necessarily know whose bench I like better in the series. So I'm going to transition into talking about player hierarchy here because this is also a spot where I got stuck on, yeah, I think it's just got to be the Cavs. Okay, who's the best player in the series? It's one of three options. It's Haliburton, Donovan Mitchell, or Evan Mobley. That's the order I have them, but I'm not convinced that's the right order, and I'm not convinced it's the right order for this series. I had Tyrese Haliburton highest when we did our player rankings, but in this series, I'm not positive he's highest. And if he's not the highest, that's a problem. The next three guys, in some order, my order is Pascal Siakam, Darius Garland, Jared Allen. I'm not positive that's the order. That's the order I would have Siakam first of those three as a player, but maybe not in this series with Evan Mobley guarding him. I'm not positive. And so now here I have two of the top three are Cavs, and it better be Haliburton number one. Otherwise, that's problematic. Two of the next three are Cavs, and it better be Siakam leading that group, or that's problematic. And then go to the bench. I think DeAndre Hunter is the best player off the bench. He's better than Obi Toppin. Ty Jerome has been better than TJ McConnell this year for sure. So now the Cavs actually have maybe the bench advantage. They have the two best bench players in the series. I think Indiana's rest of starting lineup is a clear advantage, but that's not enough to offset those other things. I think, Matt, if I'm being totally honest, you and I have been the Haliburton guys. That's maybe not a phrase that we should be using still after the other Haliburton guys that has happened in history. I think we could look not great in the series. As someone that has loved Tyrese Haliburton back since the Iowa State days, a thing that he doesn't do great, that we know from watching him, he doesn't have that burst. He's not turning the corner on you. He's not going to just be athletic and go do the thing and go score the points because I'm better at you. I'm getting to my spot and I'm going to go get some points. He's not wired that way, but he's not athletic that way compared to the other super duper stars in the NBA. That's not what his game is. And in this series, I think he needs to be wired that way, and I think he needs to get to those spots and get to the rim and beat that beatable defense to get the advantages that you said. I don't think that he can. I thought it got exposed a little bit last year in the playoffs, but he was injured, so I don't know if that was necessarily a thing. I think it could get exposed a little bit again here, where it's like, okay, actually Halliburton is third out of those top three guys in this series, and this went sideways for Indiana very quickly. I think that could go that direction. How do you feel about the player hierarchy stuff?
I'm with you in that I think Halliburton is the best player in this series, and most people will be like, "What?" And it's like, no, like we just think that he's that good of an engine. This Cavs defense is built to stop him. Like they have the personnel to be able to play at the level. They are good enough. There are guys like Brooke Lopez that have to play drop. If you play drop against Hallie, it's bad because guess what? He's one of the best pull-up shooters in the league. So he's able to come off of those screens and get clean looks from 3-point range. That's where he murders you. The Cavs, I do not think, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they come out and drop and he kills them. Maybe they go the opposite way and are like, hey, if we just let Hallie score and prevent everybody else, we're going to be good. I don't think that's what they do. But if that's the case, then Halliburton can have a good series. And I honestly think that's probably a good path for the Pacers. Conversely, though, I don't think that he's going to be the best player in the series because I don't think the Cavs are going to let him. There are fewer opportunities for the Pacers to be able to do to Donovan Mitchell than what the Cavs can do to Tyrese Haliburton. If it's like, well, the Pacers can just blitz Donovan Mitchell. Donovan's seen that for years and years and years and years, and he knows how to exploit it. And Donovan's also athletic and big enough to get the edge and beat it anyway. Because Miles Turner is great, but not what he was better about 3 years ago in terms of that hedge position. They're going to play a lot of drop, and Donovan's going to eat him alive in that situation. And if they do bring help, if they bring a double, then he is going to swing that ball, and then you're in rotation versus the Cavaliers. And spoiler alert, you're giving up a made three. So I think it's got to be Donovan for this series. Donovan, and then Tyrese, and then Mobley. And then that second group, I would definitely have it be. I still think Pascal is good enough to warrant even as good as Evan is. I think they'll get enough switches when they run. I'm really curious to see if they run Pascal as a pick and roll ball handler and get Mobley switched off of him. And if they how they cover that, are they going to play drop versus Pascal? Because Pascal can get ahead of steam and get to the rim. Like that's a matchup. I think Pascal can have a really good series. But it's Pascal, I think, and then Turner. Yeah, and then Allen. Allen wasn't great in the series. Now, his numbers got nuked because he played in those last two games. So it's like the on-court stuff wasn't great. He made a bunch of really good plays in the first quarter of both of those more meaningful games versus the Pacers early on. I wouldn't be surprised though if by the end of the series we're seeing a lot more small ball with the Cavs with them playing Evan Mobley at five. If they run into problems, that's like the default. Here's the thing: is like even let's say that Hallie's able to beat that. Well, then they're gonna switch. Then they will go to switch everything, and that'll be their counter for it. Is like you want to run Haliburton, you want to run Hallie Turner pick and roll. We're gonna play Mobley at five and just switch it, and we're gonna dare Miles Turner to beat us with post ups. That's another
Yeah.
counter. Cavs have a lot of outs here for how they want to build their lineups and how they want to execute them, which I think factors into the hierarchy. How about coach? Because we got Kenny Atkinson, pretty good job in that first round versus the Heat, but not a lot of experience. Going up against Rick Carlisle, just libraries of experience. So, what do you think is the coaching matchup here?
Yeah, I mean, as I'm trying to build my case for Indiana, that's the one spot where I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't know that we've seen Kenny Atkinson proven yet in the playoffs. Like, great job against Miami, the 10 seed, but still, he hasn't. He has, I think, not even coached in the second round, if I believe. I forget the date on it, but there's not a lot there where Kyle has a lot of experience. Indiana, like I don't, you're gonna know the coaching details better than me. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna give it to Carlisle. The question is by how much. It could be by a lot. I'm open to the possibility that it could be by a lot towards Carlisle. If it is big advantage Carlisle, advantage Indiana on the bench, and Indiana can hang with home games, then I think the series could surprise and push longer than we expect. And for that reason, that's why I'm a little higher on Indiana's chances to at least stick around than you. Like when we get to, well, let me just make my case for my best bet. I don't think sweep is very much in play here. I'm giving Indiana a little more credit than that. So, Cavs minus 1.5 on the series spread is minus 160. That's 62% implied. My bet, Cavs in 5 plus 285, Cavs in 6 plus 450. I'm getting 44% on that. So I'm sacrificing sweep, but sweep is pricing in at 18% there. I do not think that there's an 18% chance at a sweep. I think Indiana is a good enough team with good enough offense and playmakers to get a game or two. That's what Cavs in 5 or 6 is, a game or two for Indiana. So I basically get that at plus 126 versus minus 160 just by giving up the sweep. I looked at Cavs 2-1 series lead. It's basically even odds. Yeah, I mean that's what I expect, but I don't know that I need it. Like I think I want to leave myself some flexibility here. Like I mentioned a couple of times, I wouldn't be shocked to see some value on a long shot Pacers. I think they're more live to take games and stay in the series just as a quality good team in a way that the other series we will talk about next. I do not feel that way about the underdog. I'm giving Indiana a chance to hang around here. Carlisle over Atkinson would have to be a pretty big part of it, though. Where are you on the coach thing?
I'm not as skeptical of Atkinson. Um, I don't. Kenny's not a young, fresh pup. Like he's been around this league forever.
Agreed.
There's a lot of experience, and the people I can't speak to it because like you never know how guys are going to be when they get there in meaningful games as a head coach, and he hasn't been there. Everyone I've talked to in the league, like I asked this question this week to some people that know Kenny, and that I asked like, hey, do you think that there's a chance that he can get in over his head? And they were like, nope. He's a very subtle guy. Like he is very even killed. He's been in this league a long time, and he's been in a lot of different situations with a lot of different teams. That's their word, right? We'll see what happens when the rubber meets the road. Rick's gotta have the advantage here because Rick's a tactical genius and he's great. And there's a lot odds that he will make adjustments as the series goes along, unless that just they get downhill and then it's over. A lot of this, like I one thing I don't know how to cap here, Brandon, is they were so dominant in round one, the Cavaliers. I don't know,
Yeah,
that makes me want to go the other way, where it's like, oh, it's too
yeah,
easy for you, so you're gonna get caught. Welcome to the real playoffs. Like that's gonna be like I think a really interesting question. I did say I was kind of leaning towards sweep, or like I might bet it after game one. I'm gonna go back on that because like I rechecked some of my numbers here. Like here's a good example of how tight I have this series. Pacers plus 1.5. So to force a game seven, I have this as 19 cents of differential. Like that's it. There's just no value. Like I can't find any sort of like real substantial value here. There's probably like I can find like, hey, Cavs plus 2.5 at minus 2,000 actually looks like a bad number to me. You want to bet minus 2,000? Um, other than that though, like I wouldn't be. It's not going to surprise me if this goes to six. I might just copy you and go Cavs and five, or Cavs. Yeah, Cavs and five, Cavs and six. Like that to me is like a very reasonable kind of, especially with the injury situation with Garland. Like that's probably a pretty good outcome there. Like I'm leaning as we talk about it. The reason I was saying that is just like I do not see. You got to tell me what the Pacers do to get Cleveland out of their comfort zone. I can tell you what the Pacers do to get Boston out of their comfort zone. I can tell you that.
yeah,
Like the Celtics lucked out by not having the Pacers in their bracket. They would have won, but it would have been a pain for them. Not this one. Like Cavs, I feel like are like, oh, you want to play a high octane, up tempo offense with a lot of athleticism. Cool. Like there's no
yeah.
real big edge
Yeah, I
there, so
mean,
that's why.
I agree. I agree with all of that, really. I think the delta between the teams is like I'm not giving the Cavs credit for being the buzzsaw that they were in round one
Right.
against this team now. Indiana is a good team. The Cavs are a better team. I
Yeah.
think they're better enough to take care of business given 7 games. That's why I love the 7 game series. We're not doing March Madness in the NBA. We want the better team to keep going forward. The Cavs are the better team. They're going to win the series. But the Pacers are a good team. The Pacers can win a game or two. The Pacers can contend in probably a bunch of the games. I think that they hang around. I like actually betting this series a lot on series props. So can I get into some series angles?
Hit me with it.
All right. So the first one, you've really made the case for me already. I'm going to do Evan Mobley rebounds first. Rebound series leaders plus 155 at BetMGM. This is basically a head-to-head against Jared Allen. Okay. So it's not Miles Turner. Turner's rebounding is not there because he sits out of the three-point line, as you said. And guess who's going to defend him when he's out there? Jared Allen. So in the 2 games that mattered a little bit in the regular season, Mobley was really good. 16 and 12, 22 and 13. So 12 and 13 rebounds. Allen had single-digit rebounds, 9 and 9, both of those games. Rebounding chances. Allen's numbers were down by a rebound and a half. Mobley's were up by a rebound and a half. It's only 2 games that we've said don't matter a lot, but that checks out with what we expect. And like you said, there's a real scenario where the Cavs go a little bit more smaller here, and Mobley plays the five, which he can't do in some matchups, but definitely can against Turner. And if that happens, that means less rebounds for Mobley in those minutes, but it means less for Allen because he's not on the court anymore. So I like Mobley series leader rebounds. I would make him the favorite, not Allen as he is priced. So plus 155. It's not a huge juice. This is not one that we get to add positions to later and hedge. This is one shot, play it. I will do the Joe and Jim angle that I always poo-poo them for doing. 8 rebounds in every game. I hate the every game bets. They're so fun, but they never cash ever. But my math says this should be about 18 to 24% likely. That would put it around like plus 350. It's plus 575 at BetMGM. Again, he had 12 and 13 the 2 games. Hopefully, we don't get a huge blowout or something like that. That's always a threat on these every games. 8 rebounds or more. So Mobley, rebound leader, plus 155. 8 rebounds every game is plus 575. Based on all the things that you made the cap for me on this one, I think you should be joining on Mobley rebounds leader.
I'm in. Let's do it. I'm in.
All right. All right. Now, Haliburton assists. You might be able to talk me out of this one because you've made a little bit of case on this one so far. I said at the top, this is my favorite bet. Haliburton didn't like. I'm throwing out the Haliburton data this year. He didn't play in three of the games. He was injured and played 18 minutes in the other one. Last year against Cleveland, who by the way are the same guys and a better defense. Doesn't mean it's the same type of defense, but last year Haliburton played the four games. He had 12, 12, 13, and 13 assists. This is what Haliburton does. He gets a lot of assists. In game one, here are the assist lines. Haliburton is 10.5. I'll probably be on the over. Garland is next at 6.5. The next closest guy in assists is four lower. Then Donovan Mitchell 5.5. Then everyone else is below 5. So the books are telling us we expect Tyrese Haliburton to get four more assists than any other player every game of the series. And he's only minus 250 to be the series leader at Bet365. This to me is the Giannis points leader from last round. This is like, even if Tyrese gets hurt and misses a game, I will still like this bet. And by the way, Darius Garland is already hurt and not necessarily going to contend here, and he's the most likely guy to get the award. I think Haliburton, assist leader, is the safest bet on the podcast today. And back to the every game, 10 assists every game is 11-1 odds. I put that slightly better than that. That's 8.3%. I have a more like 12, 13%. These bets are probably going to lose. These are like 10th or quarter unit bets, but they're fun to follow. Haliburton assist leader, minus 250. You talked about Haliburton. You talked about how they're going to defend him. And will it be assists or like hockey assists? Is there any reason I should not be confident in the minus 250 here?
Yeah. So he had 5 assists in the however many minutes he played in that
18
first game.
minutes.
Yeah, 18 minutes. Right? That looks awesome. 3 of those were generated by isolating Dean Wade, who has, even though I love him and he is the plus minus king, played less in the playoffs, and that's not necessarily surprising. If they have an issue with it, they're gonna put DeAndre Hunter in for defensive purposes, and they're gonna be different on that. The other thing is like I just think they're gonna give that switch less. I think they're gonna dedicate pretty hardcore. I could be wrong though, so you can definitely cash this. The other thing with the assist props is like, look, I can be right in the pick and roll actions. I can be right in how they guard him. I can be right in how effective it is. And then what can happen is Tyrese Haliburton gets every game 2 possessions where he runs up the court and throws an underhanded pass to a 3-point shooter in transition and they make it.
Right.
Right? Like his potential assists are always going to be high because that's what he's looking to create. He created several of these assists in this off of their scheme based off of attacking switches, slicing to the basket, and then finding a cutter down the middle of the lane. The awareness will be better in those situations. The rim protection will be better in those situations, and they'll switch less. So you could never get me on this because I don't want to fade it because there's entirely a chance for him to be able to do it. It's too variable, but based off of scheme, there's too high a chance of they run pick and pop with Miles Turner top of the key. Haliburton rolls right, gets blitzed, switches it to Turner. Turner then they rotate somebody up to Turner to guard him. Turner kicks to the corner for a Neesmith, Nemhard, Benedict Mathurin, etc. 3. And then it's just the secondary assists.
Yeah.
There's too much of a capacity for that to be the sequence for me to want to bet this because of the Cavaliers. I don't think are going to be like, you know what we really want is we want to give Tyrese Haliburton one-on-one situations to beat guys with foot speed to pass.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like the play. Now, again, one of the things we get caught up in when we do the series previews is I wind up being like, well, they shouldn't do this. And the coach is like, oh, but I will. And it cashes. So I don't mind you playing it, but I can't go with you.
Yeah, I would say you're definitely against the 10 every game. And again, that's probably like a 10th unit bet. That's probably not going to win. I just don't see where the competition comes from. Even if you're right and the assists are like a couple lower than we think, he's so far ahead of the field. To me, the real threat beyond Haliburton just getting injured, obviously, is the Garland injury being major. And then suddenly Donovan Mitchell has to do all the playmaking or maybe Ty Jerome or something. I'll play the assist leader pretty confidently. Haliburton steals leader is my last one here. That's 8-1. Steals is never a market to go crazy on because steals are random. Haliburton leads these teams in steals per games at 1.4 from the regular season. He should be the favorite. You know who the favorite is? Jared Allen. plus 250. Why? Because he had 6 steals in the last game we watched, including off the opening tip-off. So they're like, oh, I guess Jared Allen gets steals. And it's a ridiculous number. He should not be the favorite. The Pacers have more steals this season than the Cavs, and they have fewer times stolen because Tyrese Haliburton is running the offense. They don't get the ball turned over a lot, neither does TJ McConnell. So it's going to be wide open. It's going to be like 8 or 10 steals. The whole series wins it. Haliburton would be my favorite at like 3-1. He's 8-1 here. It's a crapshoot, but this is at least a good spot to get someone that should be in the top three. And maybe here we do add to the mix later. So I like that one. That's probably like a half unit play. I will look for Donovan Mitchell points and threes at some point. The prices aren't enough for me yet, but maybe off a low spot. And then my last angle on the series, I mentioned before, I think home court will be huge. Pacers were 32-11 at home this year. They're -6 net rating on the road in the first half. The Cavs were 36-7 at home this year, number 2 net rating. Home first halves, you might think that matches the road first halves for Pacers. Home first halves plus 18.1 net rating. So between these teams, that is a 24.1 net rating delta when the Cavs are home in the first half. So that's going to be also, since I'm not on the pod, my Sunday game one best bet. If you like the Cavs in the game and they're at home, Cavs home first half has been a very strong play. So I think that's a good game to game trend to watch as well.
A long shot, Miles Turner, 2+3s in every game is 17-1. Don't hate that. I will probably.
I have bet Miles Turner series threes leader like 4 times in the last 3 years, and it's great in game one. Every time in game
Yeah.
one, you're like, yeah, he
Yeah.
hit one the first minute. Yeah, he has 8 attempts.
Yeah.
I can't do Miles threes anymore. It just
I know, I
disappears
know, I know.
sometime.
Don't. I would never do series leader, but 2+ in every game is not bad. First round series versus the Bucks, 6-6-6 attempts, 3-3. He's gonna have to play more minutes in this series because they won't have it under lock. Okay, so those are our bets for Cavs Pacers. We have about 20 minutes left, and we're gonna zip through this last one because God Almighty, am I annoyed? Celtics versus the New York Knickerbockers, which I was so excited to bet and to hammer and to just be like, we're going to destroy the New York Knicks and all these things. The lowest price is -800. That's the lowest price. It's up to 1,000 in some markets. Brandon, what are your 10 words for Celtics Knicks?
Knicks fraudulent, threes math, Celtics roll, keep the change.
I hate this market is mine. I hate it.
It's 10 word outlook. You're killing me. Use the 10 words.
I'm not going to use the 10 words when it's not necessary. Never use more than you have to. Um, I don't know why I'm telling that to the guy that writes 40,000 word offensive line rankings, but nonetheless. So, can I talk a little bit about the market here?
Please.
Um, Knicks or Celtics -2.5 is -145. 5 or less is -145. But in a matchup between the 2 and 3 seed, nothing.
There is a -110 at FanDuel. I strongly consider that. I don't mind that play.
Nothing about if you get past the names and what we saw from this season, there is no way to get here. This is why I'm so frustrated. Full season power rating with a playoff bump to the Celtics and a dock to the Knicks. I still only make this 338. I can't get anywhere near 800. Nowhere. I can't get anywhere near. Every value that gets returned is, hey, it has value. Knicks -1.5. Hey, it has value. Knicks +2.5. Hey, it has value. Knicks +1. Even don't forget my power ratings. Fine. I'm a moron. Whatever. Look at the market rating on Unpredictable, which has where the market is objectively on a power rating. The Celtics are only power rated at Unpredictable at 4.9. The New York Knicks are power rated at 1.8. That sounds reasonable to me. A 3.1 point differential between these two teams. Let's bump it. Because let's bump up the Celtics for being a better playoff team, playing their starters more, etc. Let's dock the Knicks a little bit. You still can't get to this kind of power rating. This is 89% implied. they've taken my joy, Brandon Anderson, because I only want to bet Celtics, and this number is so far ahead of any number that I would put it at. Even if I just like eyeballed this, I couldn't get there. I'm extremely frustrated that I genuinely, Brandon, don't think I'm going to have a best bet in this series. I think I'm going to bet Celtics in five because of a tried and true, they're going to screw around once game. Like that to me is the only thing I can get here, buddy, because this market is preposterous.
It is ridiculous, and yet I am a hashtag team content, so I had to come up with something. So I'm just gonna go back to what did we do with the Celtics last year when we were like, we gotta preview another Celtics series that we already know what we think about it. What was the set it and forget it? Celtics minus 1.5. The Knicks if the Knicks push it to 7 or win the series, take my money. It's fine. Celtics minus 1.5. Celtics in 6 or less. It's minus 240 at FanDuel. I don't care what the implied is. I don't care what your power rating is. If the Knicks take it to 7 or win the series, that's great. Good job. You win. You fraudulent piece of crap team that should have lost to the Pistons. You beat the Celtics. Great job. You took my money. It's not happening. Celtics, 6 or less, minus 240. And here's what I'm doing. I got creative. I'm going to bet 2.4 units on it. So I'm winning a unit. When the Celtics win in 6 or less, I'm winning unit. Now I'm going to take that unit and I'm going to use it to free roll because I'm that confident. This is going to hit. The Celtics are going to win in 6 or less. I'm going to split my unit on Celtics sweep plus 360 and exact outcome. Celtics game 1, 2, fall game 3 in New York, game 4 and 5 Boston. Get them out of here. Plus 710. I'm splitting. I'm just taking a shot at what I think is probably they're both gonna lose. They're probably not gonna sweep. They're probably not gonna have the exact outcome. Those are not great bets to make usually. It's a free roll. The Celtics aren't losing this series or going to 7. If you just want to take the responsible minus 240 and be done, that's fine too. If the Knicks take it to 7 and I lose it all, great job. You pulled the wool over my eyes. I don't know what I'm missing here. We'll talk about the details, but I don't know how I can even convince myself the Knicks win a game, let alone 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, and so this is where it kind of gets to is so if you're listening and you're like, wait, okay, so the number's wrong, but you guys think that the Knicks have zero chance to win this series? Yes, like that's the thing is like
Yeah, I was like, if you're gonna make me answer, yes.
yeah, like that's and like this is the entire problem of it. The Knicks this season got absolutely annihilated by this Boston Celtics team. They got absolutely annihilated by the Cleveland Cavaliers team. It's not just that the Knicks can't match up with this team, it's that they can't match up with any elite team. They are not good versus these elite teams. The gap in defense is phenomenal. I don't even think the Celtics defense is as good as last year, but it is so much better than this Knicks team. I don't even think that the Celtics offense is actually as creative and well balanced as it was last year. They're still so much better than this Knicks team. In terms of a playoff execution level, like New York this season versus top 10 teams in net rating was 6 and 16 with a minus 3.8 spread differential via cleaning the glass, 24th in the league. They had the 22nd ranked defense against those teams. They've got Wingstop. And that was what like when they made the McHale move, it was like, hey, this is pretty smart because you got to go through Boston. So what you need to do is you got to have all these wings and switch everything. And that works. It's a really good strategy versus Boston until you add Karl Anthony Towns. And with Cat, it's like, oh, you got like a stretch 5 to counter Boston. Yeah, but the problem is now, because your base scheme is still going to switch everything, Jason Tatum's going to get Jalen Brunson on him, and then or Jalen Brown, or Derek White, and then they're going to run it back against Cat, who has to play drop. Cat can play at the level, and you can do that, but Brunson and Cat can't pressure the ball handler enough to contain it to allow your rotation defense to make the plays. And in the meantime, you're going to switch a bunch of actions, and KP is going to get Jalen Brunson on him in the post or Mikal Bridges. Like, it's just a nightmare because of how you built the team. Like, if you had gone all the way with Wingstop and had a switchable 5, I'd be in. If you had Miles Turner instead of Karl Anthony Towns, I'd be like, oh, you can't when it's Jalen Brunson and Cat. And we saw that all year. Oh, but the defense got it together second half of the year. Do you know what happened? Jalen Brunson went out. You can build a good defense if you have Karl Anthony Towns. The Wolves did it. You can build a good defense if you have Jalen Brunson. The Knicks did it last year. You can't do it when you have both. You can't. And they're going to have to play, they will play 45 minutes a night because of Tibbs versus the Celtics, who are somehow, against my very ongoing frustration, going to be able to play Luke Cornett and Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser in the series and get away with it. Like, Brunson will kill them in certain rotations, but they're so Brunson heavy, when he's not on the floor, the offense stagnates a little bit. So, like, Brandon, I don't have anything here. It's basically like, yes, if Tom Thibodeau, the most rigid coach in the league, surprises me with a complete switch up of his defensive strategy from game one on, then yes, the Knicks can hang in this series and my numbers are going to be right. I have zero reason to believe it, but I can't
Yeah.
bet it because the market's like the Knicks are basically cow patties just being trampled. It's it's
Just
horrible.
just your classic 2 versus 3 series as you expected. That's how 2 versus 3s always go, right? In the regular season series, so the Knicks went 0-10 against the Celtics, Cavs, and Thunder. So that's the stat of what you were saying, how they sucked against all the good teams. In the 4 Celtics games, Boston is plus 65. So they average winning by more than 16 a game. They averaged 63% EFG in the 4 games against New York. New York's defense does not exist against Boston. Boston won the first quarter by 19, 19, and 11 in 3 of those. And they rebounded over a quarter of their own misses. That's not even a thing the Celtics are supposed to be good at. But they let them do that anyways. It was consistent game after game. They didn't have Porzingis in 2 of those games, and they still had that strength. And here's the biggest problem. This is where we're not even going to need to do all the like, when this team's on offense, this team's on offense. Here's the problem. The threes math is going to murder New York in this series. In the 4 games in the regular season, New York averaged 11 of 32 on threes, 34%. Boston averaged 21 of 48 on threes. Let me help you out. That's 50% more attempts. It's 44% makes, up from 34%. So they're shooting half as many more. They're making 10% higher, and they're averaging 21 makes to 11 makes for the Knicks. That is a 30-point deficit the New York Knicks are starting with every game when they play the Boston Celtics. 30 points because of the 3-point differential. They're getting up so many threes. The Knicks don't take threes and don't make them that well when they do. And the other advantages you try to find just aren't there. The Knicks defense is the weakest link. Brunson, can he be the best player in the series or the best player game to game? He can have moments, but he's going to have his hands full with Derek White and Drew Holiday. What can Carl do? I don't know. Maybe Carl can be an answer to some things. I don't. New York is number 3 in transition offense. Boston's number 3 in transition defense. Great. Good job. Good job for that. New York is top 5 in rim rate offense. Congratulations. Celtics are top 5 in rim rate defense. There's no things for the Knicks, who, by the way, I argued before last series, are way worse than what their profile says because the offense has been getting a lot worse as the season has gone on. And quite frankly, I think we saw that against Detroit. So here's the over big picture structure. Boston threes landslide. The Knicks aren't going to score that well. The Knicks defense doesn't hang against real teams and hasn't all season. The Knicks don't have depth and are running on fumes. Boston has depth and is going to be able to play it. The Knicks are 26-3 against bottom 10 net rating, 6-16 against top 10 net rating. And in case all that didn't matter, Joe Mazzulla is going to de-pants Tom Thibodeau and get him fired in front of a nation over the next 2 weeks. And he was a game away from doing that already in the last series. I don't see any path for New York in the series.
Other than that, though, go New York, go New York, go. Bing bong. Do you like any prop angles for the series? I'm not going to have a best bet on the series. I understand we're in a content game. You can't ask me to when the price is this bad. Like I can't in good conscience be like, yes, you should bet into this market because it is so like injury factor alone switches this to where it's like not playable. What are your prop angles for the series?
I mean, I'm factoring in the injuries, which, by the way, is 4 Celtics starters. I'm factoring that in and still happy to go Celtics -1.5. The 2 bets that I'm using then to split is Celtics sweep plus 360. That's 22% implied. My math has it closer to 30% sweep for the Celtics. And then exact outcome, which I hate and never bet because it's ridiculous. Celtics, Knicks game three at home, Celtics game four, and then end it in five. I have that at plus 710 FanDuel, 12%. I make that just over 16%. So that's how I'm using what I'm calling my free roll. Series prop angles, pretty much I want Tatum to do stuff. I think Tatum series leaders for a lot of markets is going to be good. My favorite is threes leader, plus 160 at Caesars. In the regular season matchups, he was bombing. He took at least 10 threes all four games. He averaged 11 and a half 3-point attempts. We know Boston's getting the threes up. What's weird is in those matchups, it wasn't consistent. White got a bunch up some games and was less on some games. Porzingis did get a lot up when he played, but missed two of the games. Brown was inconsistent. Tatum was not. Tatum is just firing away, getting like 10, 12, 14 threes up, and he hit a lot of them too. So if you get that much volume, I have to like you for threes leader plus 160. I like it less, but Tatum assist leader plus 250 at Bet365. Brunson did not get a lot of assists in the season series. He had five or less in three of the four games. Maybe that's just because New York wasn't scoring, but he averaged 5.25. Tatum was at 7 assists per game. So I don't love that one necessarily. I don't have like a great reason for it, but just on the numbers, plus 250, where I think those should be a little closer to even. And I don't know if Cat is going to be the obvious rebound leader here. In the season series, he was terrible twice and really good twice. Two games, he was 12.7 rebounds, 9 points, 9 rebounds. That's not going to work. That's not going to help you. In the other two games, the more recent two, 24 and 18, 34 and 14. Yeah, that'll do. That's going to be okay. You do that, you're going to run away with rebounds leader, which is what he's priced as. Tatum is 6-1 for rebounds leader at Caesars. You know, Joe, Jim, me, we were always playing Tatum rebounds leader every series. It would have hit last round, except he missed a game. Almost hit anyway. So I don't know. Maybe Cat just crushes him. Maybe Mitch takes some of Cat's minutes. But if you're giving me 6-1 on a Tatum rebound leader, I'll take that. I am not going to go too crazy playing all three of those because obviously he's playing hurt already. So you miss a game and you lose everything at once. So don't go too nuts on all of them. But I like threes leader best, plus 160, then assist 250, rebound 600 in that order.
I was so excited about this series. I was just like, yeah, New York and the hype, and they're the like as a good example, I think of this, and I understand that you agree with this assertion because you're a little higher on Indiana than I am, and I love the Pacers. I want to be very clear. They're agents of chaos, and they're one of my favorite teams to watch. I love all their guys. But like the one seed that won 60 plus games versus a Pacers team who won what 46-ish, whatever that number was. The Cavs are minus 425. The Celtics versus the Knicks, the 2-3 is minus 800. There's no way that makes sense. And the answer
Yeah.
is like, so bet the Knicks, Matt. No, I can't do that.
I looked up Knicks game one Celtics series just on like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, the Knicks came in, they stole game one, and we got to spend 2 days talking about like the New York Knickerbockers are here, Jalen Brunson, MVP. And then the Celtics are like, oh, you're actually trying? Well, that's annoying. I guess we'll just try for 4 games now. I looked that up. I think it's like plus 525. Like, I don't need it, but I don't hate the narrative play on
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I just, I'm gonna totally honest. It's hard for me to take this series seriously. I can't take the Knicks series seriously, and yeah,
What
I
would they
think
have?
that
So before
I
we
think
get out
the
of here, I do want to ask
Magic
you,
were more live game to game than I think the
yeah,
Knicks will be in the series.
what would the Knicks have to do to actually impress you? Because you're gonna be so dug in here. Like, what would they have to do to impress you?
I mean, like, are we talking outcomes or
Yeah.
what? I mean, if they split in Boston and then win game three and four, so now it's 3-1. I have to imagine I'm betting Boston unless like three starters are injured or something. But you've got my attention now. I at least have to assume that you can win the series at this point up 3-1. But I still get Boston home game five and game seven. I still like my chances to come back there. Um, I thought about what about Brunson clutch player? Could he steal some games late if it's close? Boston was 8-3 in one possession game, so that's not necessarily a thing that happens anymore either. If you do like New York and want to play them one note ahead, New York home first half is about plus 10 net rating. Celtics are especially good second half team. So if you like New York home first halves, I think are probably your best shot. I think this is an under series. Both these teams are bottom five in pace. I think it kind of trends under that direction. Do you have a lean on totals here?
Overs is going to be the play here because I think Boston's going to be able to put up 130 whenever it wants. So I think overs are going to be a play on this series, unders in Pacers Cavs. I'll have official plays in the Action Network app. That's going to do it for Eastern Conference Semifinals preview. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. Catch Wheaton Brando, Wheaton, Wheaton, Brando, Brando, in the Action Network app and on Twitter. My thanks to Gifford Gould and David Payne hanging out with us for a long time on this Friday afternoon. Thanks, guys, for your time today. Buckets live on Saturday morning. You'll be able to catch that. There'll be a post on the youtube.com/the Action Network. And then again on Sunday night. Come join us and let us know what your best bets are for Monday in the association. Your thoughts on whatever games happen on Sunday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. Till next time, let's get buckets.